You can be a freak over here.
Doot, beep boop.
Ugh,
Yes.
my allergies are horrible today.
Ugh. Exactly. My allergies are bad today, and I don't have allergies, so that's always fun.
So that's not an allergy then.
No, it means it means that everything is bad enough that I'm having a reaction.
Gotcha.
Or like COVID.
I don't have COVID.
Okay.
My eyes are itchy. My eyes are itchy.
Yeah, mine's my
Irish eyes are itchy.
mine's like my throat and my inner ears, but I also just talked for a long time, so that didn't help anything.
Right, I was gonna say, like, my eyes are itchy, and, like, my ear that I had the ear infection in hurts, which is what I have when I have an allergy attack, so.
Great. Okay.
So you do have allergies.
Yes, but mine are, like, super, super, super mild, so, like, I only have an attack if the pollen count or whatever is, like, the air quality has to be, like, really bad for me to have an allergy attack.
Whereas with me, if I'm existing, I'm having an allergy attack.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Like, I have to take Benadryl, like, 3 times a year. My mom has to take it every single day, so
I'm not allowed to take
comparison, I don't have allergies.
Yeah.
I like to take Benadryl whenever I have to take steroids as well, because I get so hyped up on steroids that I'm like, I can do karate! And then I don't sleep for days. So,
Yeah, I'm not supposed to take any sleep any other sleep meds than what I am on. So I can't take Benadryl because it puts me to sleep, but then I also can't because I got dependent on it in high school to sleep, and now if I take even one, it really screws up my head. So I'm not allowed to take Benadryl.
I'm not allowed to take Sudafed for similar reasons.
Oh, I love Sudafed. Sudafed's the only thing.
Sir.
I know. Sudafed's the only thing that ever fixes my sinus infections.
Yeah, Sudafed is the only thing that ever fixes my sinus infections, but it
Great.
also gives me hallucinations, and it also makes my, like, antidepressants and my hormone medication not work. So
Weird.
I end up with, like, massive mood swings and, like, crazy, like, auditory and visual hallucinations at the same time. And that's not ideal.
Your body's, like, metabolizing Sudafed as if it's full meth. Like, I don't understand.
Yes. Well, okay, see, but the thing is when I got super sick before I moved back home, I, like, not quite overdosed, but almost overdosed on it. So now my body is just like, any sort of Sudafed is immediate, like, nah, get that shit out of us.
Yeah.
So.
We'll make you react poorly so you'll remember next time not to take it.
Yeah.
Basically. Anyway, don't self-medicate, friends. Yeah.
Want to do the intro now?
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Breakdown brought to you by the Triad.
So, hi, guys. You're listening to The Triad, where we're spooky, but very, very, very sensitive. I'm Shelby.
But medically sensitive.
Yes. I'm Shelby.
I'm Hannah.
I'm Shannon.
Okay.
Do we have any announcements since we stopped talking an hour and a half ago? Or we started talking an hour and a half ago?
No.
Okay, cool.
I ate a bowl of cereal.
Oh, wait.
Okay.
What?
I said I ate a bowl of cereal and it was okay.
Okay, yeah. Shannon?
I was gonna say this comes out on September 1st. Does anybody have anything related to that?
Oh my god, that's the first day of school for me!
There you go.
September 1st is the first day of fall. I don't care what the calendar says. I don't care what science says. It's the first day of fall. Fight me.
We went looking for Halloween decorations yesterday, and there weren't any.
Yeah.
Dude, go to any craft store. Go to
We
Joann's.
did!
What?
We did!
We went to Michael's.
Well, we went to Michael's.
And
don't go to Joann's. Joann's has the best Halloween decorations. All my Halloween decorations are from Joann's. I love their aesthetic.
do we even have a Joann's here? I don't know.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
No, Michael's is not going to have anything. Michael's is going to have, like, a crappy wreath and, like, a DIY put together this spider garbage.
Yeah, that was all they had, so.
Yeah,
You're right.
go to Joann's. I'm telling you.
Okay.
You already got your audio uploaded? Holy shit!
Who?
Me?
Shelby!
Oh, yeah.
Cool!
It took like 30 seconds, so
I
I just went ahead
know!
and did it.
Our internet
weird.
is, like, crazy here. It's awesome.
What?
Yeah.
I hate that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. I hate that my internet sucks.
Yeah.
Also, random announcement, but at the very end of the last episode that we recorded 5 minutes ago, I had to, like, tap out real fast because my mom called me immediately 2 times in a row, and you know that's the universal sign of there's an emergency, you need to pick up the phone.
Uh-huh.
And no, my mom was just at the store and found a pair of shoes she thought I might like.
Okay, but that's a mom emergency.
Yeah.
It's like,
She
you
just
need
wanted
tell
to
me
know.
right now, would you wear these?
Right? I was like, Mom, please. Please don't.
I thought someone died.
Right? I was like, it's your birthday. I thought, like, something happened.
Yeah.
But no. No,
Oh,
you
man.
just wanted to know if I wanted a pair of shoes. But okay.
Mhm.
It's fine.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay, what are we talking about? You have a PowerPoint?
I do have a PowerPoint.
Right?
It's
yay!
exactly 6 slides long and 4 if you take out the title and the credits. So
That's okay.
it's fine. So oh, Hannah, you are here. Okay. So we
Yes,
are gonna
hello.
be No, I meant on the PowerPoint.
No,
Sorry.
I know.
Gotcha. So we are gonna be talking about the Sorrel-Weed House today.
I have a question. Is
yes.
it Sorrel or Sorrel? Because I've heard both.
It
Same.
is either or.
Okay.
No one knows.
No one knows? Okay. Well, because
Yeah.
I've heard people, like, on podcasts and TV shows get into arguments about which one it is.
Nope.
So I didn't know. Okay. I prefer Sorrel-Weed House. It just sounds better.
I
Sor.
will say that I have been to this house and done tours at this house, and everybody on those tours who was leading them called it the Sorrel-Weed House.
Okay.
So
I think
that's
Zach,
what I
Zach
go
on
with.
Ghost Adventure says Sorrel, so of course he fucking does.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
like
I'm
I said,
pretty sure he's not literate, so I wouldn't
I mean, yeah.
put too much credit into it.
I mean, to be fair, when I went on the tours, the house is in Savannah, Georgia, and everyone who led the tours was from Savannah, Georgia. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna... But also, no one knows because it is Francis Sorrel, and he is half French, half Haitian. So, like,
Yeah.
who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, I will be saying Sorrel, though. Anyway.
Okay. That's
But
what
yeah.
I say too. So.
Yes. So, the Sorrel-Weed House is a house located in Savannah, Georgia. It is a historic landmark and museum. And basically, before we get into, like, Francis Sorrel and Henry Weed, just a little overview on the house. The Society for the Preservation of Savannah Landmarks, which is now known as the Historic Savannah Foundation. It opened the house to the public for the first time in January of 1940 with an exhibit. Basically, it was the Society for the Preservation of Savannah Landmarks presents a lone exhibit of furniture and fine arts 18th and 19th centuries at the Sorrel-Weed House on Madison Square, January through April 1940, which is a really long title. Basically, they just opened the house up for an exhibit. So, Also, we're on slide 2, if you care. But yeah, and then that was like the first time the house was open to the public, because it was in the Weed family until, I believe, 1914? Yes, 1914. So, the house had kind of just been, like, owned by this, like, preservation society, and then they opened it for that first time, and then they closed it again. And then in 1954, it became one of the first 2 homes in the state of Georgia to be declared a state landmark, because it's considered one of the finest examples of Greek Revival and Regency architecture within Savannah.
Okay.
It does look pretty Regency.
Yeah. It is, I mean, it is a very nice house. It is also one of the largest houses in the city with a whopping 16,000 square feet. So.
Shannon, are you okay?
I'm dying of allergy. Ugh, God, my allergies just killing me right now. Ugh.
Are you gonna survive?
Yeah.
Because I heard you scream and then silence.
No. Ugh. It's like all in my sinuses.
Ouch.
You know? And then it also feels like there's something physically, like, in my ear when I swallow.
I hate that feeling.
That's the worst.
And I already took an allergy pill today. Do you think it would kill me if I took another one?
No.
I don't know.
It's Allegra.
Want me to ask my dad?
No, it would not kill you.
It probably wouldn't do anything. Honestly. I just need to go to an allergist.
I mean, probably. Maybe.
Ugh. Okay, sorry, continue. I might be quieter than normal just because it hurts to talk, so...
Okay. But yeah, so the house is also one of the largest houses in the city. It is 16,000 square feet, which is not a house. That is a mansion, friends. But, sure. Also 16,000 square feet for, like, this house was built in 18-something. Like, that's really fucking big.
Mm-hmm.
That's a manor.
Yes.
That's literally what she said earlier.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, and then the house was opened to the public again starting in 2005, conducting historic Savannah tours during the day and then haunted Savannah ghost tours every night. And I have been to both the daytime and the nighttime tours there. And then
Didn't I watch your dogs while you went to one of them?
Yes? No. You watched my dogs when I went to Gatlinburg.
What? I swear I watched your dogs for a ghost event.
Yeah, I went to a bunch of ghosty stuff in Gatlinburg.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do a lot of ghost things. Anyway. So the house has also been featured in multiple movies and TV shows. Most notably TV shows such as like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, the Travel Channel's The Most Terrifying Places in America, and then also on the Paula Deen Network.
Did you say BuzzFeed Unsolved?
Yes. Well, okay. I didn't say that, but it has been on BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yeah, that was a really good episode on BuzzFeed Unsolved because they actually Ryan actually saw something.
Oh, did he?
Uh-huh. They were down in the... Oh, I thought you'd seen that. They were down in the basement, I want to say. And Ryan... And, like, you could see it. You have to look just because it's dark and it's, like, a shadow walking in front of a window. Mm-hmm. You know? But it's there.
Yeah, see, I'm going to talk about it when we get, like, towards the end. But there was stuff that, like, they told us to look for when we went on our ghost tour of, like, things that people have seen. But, like, it didn't come up anywhere in my research. And so I'm like...
Weird.
But I know what I was told and what I saw.
Yeah.
So, like, what? But, yeah, so we'll kind of get to that. But, yeah, it's in the basement. There's, like, a dark figure in the basement that people see.
Well, Ryan saw it, so... And they got it on camera. They got something on camera.
Yeah. But yes, Hannah, it has also been featured on the Paula Deen Network because Paula Deen is from Savannah, Georgia.
Ah.
Okay, yes, I know she's a Southerner, but, like, why the Sorrel-Weed House?
I don't freaking know. It was probably...
Did she...
Because it didn't say, like, a specific show or, like, segment or anything. It just said on the network, so it was probably, like, attractions around Savannah that you can go to when you go to the Paula Deen restaurant. Okay. So, I don't know. But yes, there is a Paula Deen restaurant in Savannah that you can go to. I've never been there because it sounds like cholesterol on a stick. So.
Yeah, and she's also, like, super racist.
Yeah, also that. And it's like run by her son or nephew or something, and I don't care. Anyway.
I don't support the Klan, but...
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, and then the, like, most notable, like, movie, TV show, anything, that this house has been in is in Forrest Gump, which came out in 1994. Which I don't know if you guys know, but Forrest Gump, the, like, famous bench from it, where, like, he tells the entire story, that is in Chippewa Square in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
So, cool. Yeah, so, like, I've been to that bench, because I've been to Savannah multiple times, but anyway, but yeah, the opening scene of Forrest Gump was actually filmed from the roof of the Sorrel-Weed House, so, like, where the feather, because the opening scene is, like, that, like, feather, like, floating over a city or whatever, and then it, like, falls down at Forrest Gump's feet where he's sitting at the bench. That scene with the feather is all filmed from the roof of the Sorrel-Weed House.
Cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then, yeah, a bunch of, like, bits of that movie were filmed in Georgia, because, you know, the South, but yeah, the famous bench is in Savannah. So.
Cool.
But yeah, if you would like to go to the second slide. Or third slide, whatever. Okay, so the house was built over a 5-year period. So it was started in 1835 and they finished building it in 1840. It was designed by architect Charles Kluski. And he basically designed the house for Francis Sorrel, who was a wealthy shipping merchant and esteemed citizen of Savannah. And just because I didn't have a ton of information on this, I, like, last minute found this information on Francis Sorrel and then on Henry Weed, who buys the house later. So I'm going to go a little bit into their histories just to add some more background info.
Mm-hmm.
So, Francis Sorrel, like I said earlier, he is half Haitian, half French. He grew up in Saint Domingue, I don't know how to say that, but it's now what is Haiti.
Saint-Domingue?
Yeah, that. That thing that I don't know how to say, because I'm dumb and ignorant. Don't mind me. But yeah, his father was a French colonel that was sent to Haiti in order to, like, map the colony. And then his mother, they don't have a ton of information on her, but it's believed that she was a free Black woman who died shortly after giving birth to Francis. She was from Saint-Domingue, so she was Haitian, but that's really all they know about her. And then Francis, like, his father started a sugarcane plantation there in Haiti, so Francis grew up there, but that was during, like, the Haitian Revolution, so he had, like, all that tumultuous time around him. And then his father regularly traveled during that revolution for work and stuff like that. And then one day he just, like, left to travel for work and never came back. And so Francis was left in the care of the slaves on this plantation. And then eventually the plantation was targeted by revolting slaves who sought to murder every colonist and set fire to the property. And Francis was then taken to Port-au-Prince, where he was taken in by the relatives of some of his caretakers. And then eventually in 1807, he began to work as a merchant and came to America. He worked in Baltimore for a while and then eventually moved down to Savannah with his business. So that's really all you need to know about Francis Sorrel. And when he moved down to Savannah, he had this house built for him. He lived there for about 2 decades, and then in 1859, the house was purchased by a businessman, Henry Weed, and he was the director of the Savannah Bank and Trust, and he took possession of the house in 1862, which I guess I should tell you, on the slide, the picture on the left is Francis Sorrel, and then the one on the right is Henry Weed and his brother. I circled what I believe is Henry. This is like the only picture I could find of any sort that might be him, so I'm not positive. And then it didn't tell me like which one was which in the picture, so I based it off of like the years that they were born, and Henry Weed is the younger brother, so this kid looked younger to me, so hopefully that's him. But if not, I'm sorry. It's the best I could do. Yeah, I mean, there's not really any history on Henry Weed anyway. All they tell us is that he was a wealthy businessman and landowner from Connecticut, and that he bought the house when he moved and took over like this bank and trust company in Savannah. And that's really all you know about him. So there are times where it's called the Francis Sorrel House instead of the Sorrel-Weed House. So if you ever see that, it is the same house. But yeah, that's how it got its name, Sorrel-Weed.
Okay.
And that's all we need to know about that.
Okay.
On to slide 4, we're going to talk about the hauntings in this house.
Woohoo!
I feel
So,
it like calmed down. I don't know what happened, but
yeah, well, that's good.
my throat still
Hopefully.
hurts, but it's not as bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was just trying to find like an allergist because I need one. But then I need to rant about my health insurance for a second. So I have my student health insurance right through my school. It didn't kick in until I want to say yesterday. But I lost my old school health insurance on August like 9th or something. So I bought like a stopgap coverage thing to cover me for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But because they made the new policy start on like a Friday or Saturday, none of my new, because this is technically a new policy, none of my info has been updated yet, so I can't make any appointments or search anything because I don't even have an ID card because my thing hasn't been put through. So I can't do anything right now, and it's very annoying.
Yeah, health insurance is a bitch.
Yeah. The nice thing is, though, I have telehealth included in my insurance, and they encourage using it. So
that's good.
Yeah.
I love telehealth.
I know. Which, like, they're going to make... I don't know if I can do telehealth for this, because I really do need to get my asthma checked, too.
Yeah, you're going to have to go in for that,
And
probably.
I have to get a breathing test done, which I fucking hate those things, but...
Yes.
And they may want to redo an allergy test, because I haven't had one since I was a teenager. So...
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. God, I hate those. They couldn't find, like, not terrible ways to check for asthma or allergies, I guess. There's only horrible ways.
Yeah.
Only the medieval methods.
Yeah, you have to blow into a tube.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, except I can't do it, but they make me do it multiple times to prove that I can't do it.
And aren't allergy tests, they just have to, like, inject you with every allergen known?
They don't, like, inject you, like, with a needle and a syringe.
Just poke you.
They've got, like, this pallet.
Yeah.
It's this pallet with, like, these spiky things with an allergen, and for me, they roll it on my back. Some people, they get it on their arms.
Yeah.
And then if you're allergic to it, you get, like, in theory, you get a reaction. Some of them look like mosquito bites. My big one is ragweed. I had, like, a whole rash on my entire shoulder from that little bitty prick of ragweed. So,
yeah,
it's not fun. Last time I went, there are a couple things they did have to inject me with, because they were like, we can't tell if this is a reaction to that or just overflow from something else. And I was like, great. Thanks.
Cool.
Cool.
And it's
Love
only
that.
supposed
I
to
love
last.
being stabbed.
Yeah, it's only supposed to last for, like, it doesn't hurt, like, the prickles don't hurt, it's just afterward you itch really bad if you're allergic to any of it. And it's
Yeah.
only supposed to last for, like, an hour. That ragweed one I had for a solid day. Like, it was horrible.
Yeah, no thank you.
Ugh. Okay, sorry, that was not even remotely related, but...
I don't care.
I know, this is gonna be short otherwise.
Yes.
But, yeah, but anyway, moral of the story, I feel better. I just have, like, I don't know if I'm getting a sinus infection or if it's just, like, my sinuses are mad, but
Yeah.
I don't know, because I feel like I have a pressure headache, too, but it might be because the weather, too, because it's, like, about to storm.
Yeah, I was gonna
So.
say, I have a pressure headache right now.
Okay, so then it's probably from the storm if we both have it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay.
I have a hurricane.
You do have a hurricane.
Yeah. Hannah has a hurricane heading
Yes.
her way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, part 2 of the hurricane recordings.
Yeah. We're only gonna record one today, possibly two. But Hannah has a hurricane heading her way, so now we're just recording a whole bunch.
Yeah.
Just
Well, it's
in
that,
case.
and then you're going to be out of town, and then when you get back, it's Labor Day weekend when I will be out of town. So it's just easier to do all of them today.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we knew that Hannah had power today.
Right.
Yes.
For now.
Well, when I got home, we knew.
Yeah.
For now. Still up in the air.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay.
It could go out at any minute. I won't keep you updated.
When you leave,
We'll
know.
Alrighty. So, so the hauntings that are in this house, there's not actually that many, which, considering it's always talked about as being, like, one of the most haunted houses in America, I expected, like, a bunch more, but like I said, like, when I did the tour, like, there was more than what I could find in my research, so, I don't know, and it might just be that, like, how do you gauge what the most haunted house is?
I don't know, but they try. Because there's
Right.
a whole bunch of houses that are supposedly the most haunted house in America.
Right, and quite frankly, Zak Bagans says every house is the most haunted house, so...
Zak Bagans
There's
says
no
lots
telling.
of things. We don't need to take him seriously.
Right.
Zach Bagans says irregardless.
Yes,
so
he does.
I want everyone to know that.
Yeah. Isn't
anyway.
Savannah supposedly the most haunted house, the most haunted town as well?
It is a very haunted
one of them.
city, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Savannah, Charleston, a lot of... Well, because Savannah was one of the port cities that they brought slaves to.
Mm-hmm. And then it got, like...
And
not
then
as
it
destroyed
was
as
part of
Atlanta
the
during the Civil
Revolutionary
War,
War.
but-
It was part of the
Yeah.
Civil War. And so it's
South
had
just
a
has
lot
of
of...
goats.
Yeah, I
The South
mean,
and
it
New
was
England,
all
so
Native
many.
American land at one point, and then the
Yeah.
white men.
Who hasn't
showed
died
up.
in Georgia?
Honestly, though. I don't know how I lived there for 5 years. Every time I go back, I'm like, ooh, why?
Oh,
Why
wasn't
did I do
Georgia
this?
also the Ouija board that got thrown into the woods incident?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that did happen in Georgia. And now I won't touch a Ouija board ever again.
Yeah, that's like the number one rule in our home is no Ouija boards are allowed inside.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that video that's the people misspelling Ouija board on Yahoo Answers?
I probably, but I don't remember it.
There's so many.
Because, like, half of them are, like, Luigi board. But the one that always cracks me up is at the very end. It says, "Where can I buy a Ouija board? Do I have to make my own, or can I get one for my witch or a vegan?"
A vegan.
That's funny.
It just is so funny. I'll send it to you guys.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, please do.
Oh
man.
But yeah, so like Savannah itself is just super haunted for whatever reason, but like everything there has ghost tours. Some are very terrible and cheesy. Some are very good.
We should try to find some around here. I don't know if there would be any, but
Oh, yeah, we should. I still haven't done any of the ones in Alton, but
I haven't either.
Oh, Alton is so cool and haunted, and I definitely saw a ghost, and a ghost attacked Ashley, and it was crazy.
Yeah, well,
And
because
a
like
ghost
when
gave my cousin
McCall,
pneumonia.
Yeah, when McCall came to visit me one time, she and I just like drove through Alton and like found all the haunted places and just stopped and took pictures. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, the Sorrel-Weed House. But yeah, so Francis Sorrel's first wife, Lucinda Moxley, passed away, like pretty early on when they first moved into the house. She just got sick, and passed away from that. And then he ended up marrying her younger sister, Matilda, which I was telling Shannon as I was writing these notes. Like, she didn't know what the topic was, but I was like, what is this old-timey thing of, like, marrying your wife's sister? It's weird.
It's very
and I don't
strange.
like it. But it used to happen, like, so often.
Hannah, what is this list of names? I'm confused.
I have no fucking idea.
Okay.
That just for some reason, when I copied that YouTube link, that's what it copied.
Okay.
What the heck?
So I don't know what that is.
Okay, I thought I missed something.
Live your best life.
I was very confused. I was like, I thought we were talking about Ouija boards. What is this?
No, I was just sending you like, I don't know what that is, because that's what I copied on the YouTube thing, but that's what came up.
That's so weird.
So I don't fucking know.
It's because we're talking about Ouija boards here, friends. Okay? Those are all the victims. Okay? Anyway. That's why you don't mess with them.
Oh
all right.
God,
for an explanation, because I don't feel like we explained this, Hannah tried to send us a YouTube link, and instead of the YouTube link at first, it's just a list of names, and then in lesbian hospita. There's no L.
I don't fucking know what that is. I'm so confused.
So confused.
What is happening?
Oh my gosh. Oh,
Anyway.
dear. We're starting to devolve, Hannah. Your episode's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
My episode's gonna be about 10 minutes long and just not make any sense.
Like last time. Yay!
Hey, last time it made sense.
No, the 10 minutes long thing. I started saying that
Yes.
before you said it did make sense.
Oh my god.
Okay, sorry, Shelby. Keep going.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, so Francis Sorrel married Matilda Moxley. I don't know. In one source, it said they had a fairly happy marriage. In another source, it said that she was pretty miserable the whole time. So, like, I don't fucking know.
Maybe. Wait, did you say that? Which one of them was miserable potentially?
Matilda.
Yeah. So maybe it was happy for him, but then that was the only standard for marital happiness is the time. Really?
You're right.
Is the man happy? That's a
Then
successful
you are
marriage.
happy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she did volunteer at, like, the local psychiatric home. So, who knows what that means? I don't know.
She may have just been bored. That was, like, a
Honestly.
thing at the time.
Yeah. Well,
Was, like, or not even bored, but I want to do something good. I'm going to
I
go
think she was.
volunteer my time
I
to
don't
read
think
for
she
the
was a volunteer.
prisoners.
Actually, I think she was the director of it, but
Oh,
I don't
okay.
remember. I didn't put in the information because it wasn't super relevant.
Yeah.
But yeah. Either way,
Yeah.
they were married. It
Yes.
could have been great. It could have been terrible. I'm gonna go with terrible on Matilda's end, because she ended up catching Francis having an affair with one of their slaves, Molly.
That's not an affair.
Yeah. Well, I put
No, I know.
That's the nice and most likely inaccurate way of saying that he
Yeah.
forced himself onto a young girl that had no way
Yes.
of fighting back or denying him. But okay,
Yes.
let's call it an affair. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't totally force himself on her.
No, and even if she quote unquote consented, that is not a relationship where she actually could give consent. So
Right, yeah. But yeah, so Francis even went so far as to give Molly her own room in the slave quarters so that he could carry out his affair in secret. But obviously, that didn't work. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It usually didn't.
No. Because what was his wife gonna say anyway? He was the man of the house. Or some bullshit.
Even at this point in time,
I'm
you
gonna throw
could...
up.
Wait, what year was this?
It was like the 1840s 40s.
She may not have had the right to file for divorce yet. I don't know what the law is in Georgia.
Yeah, I don't know.
Women, as far as I can tell, could not sue for divorce until 1818 in Illinois. I think that's yeah.
Gross.
I had to look it up this week. I think that's accurate. I might be completely wrong and getting the date wrong, but it was like fairly late.
Yeah. It was around that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, even if she could file for divorce, I don't know that she would have. They had a child together.
Well, and like, affairs weren't like...
Well, yeah,
they weren't seen as that big of a deal.
Well, it was an affair and then an affair with a slave. Like, that was just so common back then that, like, they wouldn't have taken her file for a divorce seriously.
No, they would have been like, why are you complaining? He didn't kill
you. It would have been like, why are you boring? Maybe he'd pay more attention to you if you were fun.
Yeah.
Does he beat you?
Exactly.
Then shut up.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Oh, this poor woman.
Anyway, she's very pretty.
Yes.
Based on this supposed picture of her. But yeah, this is Matilda, the picture. Yeah, this is a side note that I had nowhere to put in because, again, it's not super relevant. But they're a child. He became a general in the Confederate Army, and he was, like, the youngest... What was it? He was the youngest general in, like, history at the time. But yeah, and then he, like, went on to write a book that is now regarded as one of the best post-war accounts of the intimate and slightly humorous lives of Confederate soldiers. So.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah.
They probably made him general because they ran out of other qualified people to be general, because...
Hey, can you put a bayonet on the end of a rifle?
Yeah.
You're the general now.
I mean, honestly,
the Confederate Army had a really big human supply problem. They didn't have a whole lot of people compared to the Union.
And I don't know at what point during the Civil War he became a general, but also, like, Sherman's March on Georgia, which is the only thing you learn in Georgia history.
Of course.
He, like, burned
from the
War
of Northern Aggression, make that...
Yeah, the War of Northern Aggression.
100% the War of Northern
Make sure
Aggression.
you say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sherman, like, burned the state to the ground, and so, like, all the Confederates in the state of Georgia at the time died. And so it could have just been like, oh crap, they're making their way to Savannah.
We need a general!
You're general now. Because by the time they, like, made it to Savannah, the city of Savannah had, like, already surrendered. They were like, now you can take the city, don't burn down our pretty houses where our slaves are. So, yeah. Anyway, Savannah. But yeah, so Matilda found out about Francis's affair.
We're doing so great today.
S's and apostrophe S's in there.
Look. And she then, as the story goes, she committed suicide after witnessing the affair. She jumped headfirst from the second or possibly third, we're not sure, third floor balcony, and she cracked her skull on the pavement below. And this story is actually, like, there is historical evidence of her passing away in this manner. Whether it was suicide or something else can't be for sure determined, but there are letters of, like, one of their neighbors sent a letter to, like, his mother where he was like, oh, and then a neighbor lady fell to lunacy and jumped out a window and blah blah blah. And yeah, so at the very least we do know that she died in a manner similar to this. She did fall or jump out of a window or balcony and die. But then a few weeks later, Molly was also found dead from an apparent suicide. She was found hanging in one of the storehouses.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
Do we know how old she was?
See, this is where it gets a little fuzzy because there weren't super good records of slaves. So there is record of a girl named of a female slave named Molly that was like 28 years old. But then there was also the guy who lived across the square from them, because this house is on Madison Square. The guy who lived in the house across from them, he also had like a 13-year-old girl, female slave, named Molly.
Oh, God.
So, yeah.
I mean, either way, it's horrible, but...
Yeah, and they can't...
Well, there's
extra
like, level of bad if it was his neighbor's slave and not his.
Well, because there was a community of men that just shared their slaves
that was
amongst themselves.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Either way, it's terrible because it was like the 28-year-old one, there's record of her being in Savannah, but then she went up to New York, and then there's no record of whether she came back to Savannah or whether she was like she was like associated with the Sorrel family until New York, but then there's no records of her coming back to Savannah. So
she probably didn't.
So it's like super iffy there. And then it could have been another girl who wasn't Molly. There's a lot that could have been going on there.
Yeah, I'm trying to. This was the 1840s, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't remember the specifics, but in a lot of northern states, if a slave set foot in the state, they were freed, basically, which that was the whole thing with the Dred Scott case, which that case is disgusting, but what are you going to do?
Yes.
And also, if she was in New York, she potentially would have had easier access to Canada, which is where a lot of slaves fled the area. So there's a good chance that she got up there and either escaped or was let go, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know what other phrasing to use.
Because basically it was like when Francis Sorrel moved to North America, he like landed in Savannah and then went up because he had worked in Maryland. I think is what I said.
I was looking for doctors then. I can't remember.
Did you say Baltimore?
Oh, yeah, Baltimore. So he had worked up in Baltimore, and so, like, that record of that Molly, the 28-year-old one, is from that time.
Okay.
And so it was, like, at some point in the Northeast, something happened, and then there's, like, no record of her after some point in New York. So,
I'm gonna hope that she was freed.
Yeah.
Hopefully. But then the alternative to that is that it was the 13-year-old.
Yeah. Well, and like
I said,
someone else,
you know?
It could have been another girl, and they just attributed it to some... Mm-hmm. They just tacked on the name Molly somewhere along the line.
Like,
so
a lot of slaveholders would change the slave's name after they bought them, which is part of the reason why the records are so shitty. So... It may have been that she had previously been called Molly, but now she's called something else, or backward, you know? Her name was Molly, and then she got sold to somebody else, and now she isn't Molly anymore.
Right, or she was bought she was bought along with someone else, and that person knew her as Molly beforehand, but her name in the Sorrel household was not Molly.
It was,
So, there's a lot of different ways that could have gone, but regardless...
Yeah, regardless.
It was... most likely not a consensual relationship.
In today's understanding of that, it legally cannot be.
Was not. Yeah, it was not. Like, it just was not.
Yeah, so...
but yeah, and also with, like, being a slave, she was the one who was, like, found at fault for the affair and for Matilda's death.
Yeah.
And so... Again, this is all, like, story, but apparently she was so guilt-ridden that she killed herself, which... yes, I would feel guilty, but also I would feel like more angry, but that's me. And also I will get into why I think it was less likely guilt. But regardless, moving on. So the ghosts of both women, both Matilda and Molly, are said to haunt the property. They're like the two most prominent ghosts that people claim are there. Matilda throughout the main house, and then Molly in the slave quarters, which are located out behind the house. So visitors report sensing a dark energy throughout the home and sometimes feeling like they're being choked to death. Some people also claim to feel an overwhelming sense of drowsiness as soon as they enter the house, and that goes away like once they leave. And then people claim to see dark silhouettes walking through the halls of the house, with some people capturing shadowy forms on film or in photos. And then others claim to have seen the reflection of a female in mirrors throughout the home, but when they look around them, there's no one there.
That is like my worst nightmare at a house or anywhere, is that I will see something in the mirror that is not actually there.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't look in my mirror at night.
No.
I can't. I literally can't bring myself to do it.
I won't look in a mirror unless the lights are on, so.
Yeah. Even then.
Anyway.
Like, my first couple nights here, just because I'm just so, like, I don't think traumatized is the right word. I was so, like, just because I was raised in a haunted house, so now I assume every old house I go into is also haunted. So, like,
yeah.
My first few nights here, like, I was just like, what's in the mirror? What's moving? Like,
right. Well, and, like, every time you move into a new house, it's always, like, figuring out the sounds that house makes, and, like...
Which, to be fair, I can't really hear too much over the air conditioner most times, but...
I mean,
like,
yes.
Even, like...
And, like...
Come winter, you're done for.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, Yuki gets spooked at things a lot during the night, and I'm like, is this just you being overly cautious because we're in a new place, or are you seeing things?
Yeah. Maisie hasn't
So,
seen
Oh my god,
anything.
so I was dog sitting this week, and... it was my cousin's dogs, and they have 3 dogs. They have a chocolate lab, what's that other one called? A Great Pyrenees, and a beagle.
Mm-hmm.
And one night
Those
the
are
beagle
3 very
was...
different breeds.
Oh yes, they're the size goes from little baby to baby polar bear.
Yes.
But the beagle one night, Cora, was just like... I wish I had recorded it because it was so creepy. She was just looking straight up at the ceiling, and then she would like tilt her head around and like almost do a like 180 with her head, and it was just like very Exorcist.
No, thank you.
It was so creepy, and I was like, Cora, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I tried to get her to snap out of it, and she would like glance over at me and then do it again, and I couldn't tell because I couldn't see a bug or anything that she was following. It was just so weird and, like, really freaked me out. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to bed. You can stay here.
Right. You can be a freak over here.
Honestly, it was so creepy.
You can be possessed by the devil over there.
The only time Maisie's seen
away from
anything,
me.
or I think she's seen anything, was that weird day I had back in the spring where, like, my house was haunted or my apartment was haunted for a single day.
Oh,
I had
with
that
the,
weird,
like, umbrella
like,
stand?
Yeah, like, I had that weird, maybe sleep paralysis thing where someone, like, left my room and closed the door, and then later on, the umbrella stand rattled for no reason, and Maisie, like, we were sitting on the couch, she just stared over my shoulder, and she was, like, following, like, she was tracking something, like, with her eyes, you know?
But does that
There wasn't anything there,
the stairs.
but... Maisie doesn't normally do that, so I was just like, are you kidding me? Because it was that on top of the maybe sleep paralysis, on top of the umbrella stand, it was just a whole thing.
Yes.
Peppa does that because there's a chair at the bottom of the stairs, and she sits in it, and it's like, it's at an angle where she has to kind of look behind her to look up the stairs, and she'll be like sleeping, and then just wake up and slowly look up the stairs.
Nope.
And stare at it for like a good 5 or 10 minutes.
Don't you hear things on your
horrifying.
stairs?
I do. I've heard footsteps on my stairs twice before.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't know about that when I was staying at your house. Although
Well,
now
I didn't know about it either.
That's true, you didn't, because you swore up and down that your house was not haunted, and that it was just the barn.
It
so.
was not haunted until recently, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. But yeah, so that's all stuff for, like, in the house, as far as, like, what I could find in my research of what people see and feel. There's also occasionally claims people will, like, as they're walking through the hallways, or they'll, like, be in a separate room and it'll sound like there's, like, a gathering or a party of some sort, like, going on, like, in the dining room area. Mm-hmm. And then once they get there, like, and, like, it's very clearly, like, multiple people, like, hanging out, talking, laughing. And then once they enter the room, like, the sounds completely stop.
Well, I don't like that.
Yeah.
That's gross.
And that was one of the things they told us about when I did, like, the ghost tour there. Because basically, like, the tour that I went on, it was, like, a couple hours, and it was, like, they gave us, like, different ghost, like, an EVP machine, and then, like, one of the
spirit box.
Ones. Yeah. Things like that, and like flashlights, just a whole bunch of different stuff. And it was like we would get an hour in, like, different locations throughout the property. And so one of them was, like, in Molly's room, one of them was in the basement, one of them was in this, like, dining area, and then it also had, like, the drawing room off to the side. And so that was one of the things they, like, had us kind of, like, I don't know, that they told us about, was that sometimes people will hear, like, this party going on. Mm-hmm. But in my research, that only came up on, like, one website, so it's not a super common one, but it does come up.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then, so that's for most of the stuff in the house. As for, like, the hauntings that they think are Molly, there's one story that claims a man who didn't know about the house's history, and this was, like, before it was, like, open to the public. They, like, rented out rooms and stuff. But this man rented out the old slave quarters to use as an office, and he often reported feeling a sense of uneasiness, as if he was being constantly watched.
Great.
And then, yeah, just, like, generally other visitors claim that upon entering the slave quarters, they're overcome with a feeling of nausea and drowsiness, and some even say that they feel like they're being strangled by a rope.
Nope, don't like that.
Which, those feelings of, like, nausea, drowsiness, and then of being, like, strangled, those are common between both the main house and the slave quarters. But as far as, like, being strangled by a rope, specifically, that is only felt in the slave quarters. Mm-hmm. Like, in the house, it's more of that, like, oppressive, like, I can't breathe, something is, like, taking all the air away from me, mm-hmm. kind of strangling. So, yeah, there is that, like, slight distinction there.
Yeah. Well, Molly died by hanging, didn't she?
She did. Yeah. So, and then, as far as that goes, I'm going to talk about, like, when I was there a little bit now, just to kind of, like, tie in, like, the things that they told us about. So all of what we were told as far as Matilda and Molly haunting, it was basically all of what I've told you, of, like, Frances having this affair, Matilda finding out, committing suicide, Molly hanging herself, all of that. But like I said, they put us in, like, all these different locations for about an hour. So when we were in the main part of the house, we did our hour in the, like, dining room, drawing room area, and we didn't really get anything there. There was a couple like, thumping sounds, but that could have been one of the other groups, mm-hmm. Like, in a different part of the house. Nothing substantial that we got there. Definitely didn't hear any, like, talking, laughing, anything like that. And then, but when we were in the slave quarters, because basically it was, like, the downstairs, and then the upstairs was, like, all Molly's room. The downstairs was kind of like a bunk room sort of thing. Because keep in mind, like, Frances gave Molly, like, her own room sort of thing. And so it was basically set up so that there was, like, a little like the size of a closet, basically, where her bed was. And then outside of that, it was like separated by a little bit of a wall, was like a dining, eating, living, kitchenish area. And it was still slave quarters, so it was tiny, tiny, tiny. But at one point when me and my friends were there, they were out in this like living area, and I went off on my own to the like bedroom area, and I just like sat on the floor next to the bed by myself. Like they were all out in that living area, like talking, trying to see if they could like get any evidence of ghosts or anything like that. And I just sat in the room like quietly. And at one point I just like was overcome with this sense of like pure like rage and frustration, and like to the point that I started crying.
Oh dear.
And
wow.
And so that's a little bit why I think, because they're always like, oh, Molly was so overcome with guilt that she killed herself, and like that might be part of it. And again, like there's nothing really even about Molly, so we don't know. But just based off of like what I felt, I'm like, no, homegirl was angry.
Mm-hmm.
So
could that have been Matilda?
And that could have, it's possible.
Yeah, because I feel like for sure she has ample room to be angry.
Yeah, but I also feel like, because it kind of felt like less to do with anything to do with Matilda and more like what I would imagine Molly would have felt when she was taken advantage of.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like going back to her room and crying because she's so angry and distraught and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. I get that. Yeah.
Is kind of like, it's hard to describe, but that's like what my immediate like feeling of it was.
Mm-hmm.
Was, I don't know, was definitely like, I have no control over anything. Like, I'm so angry, I'm so frustrated. Like, this is not how I want to live, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as I left that bedroom area and went back out into the living area, I was totally fine. So, yeah.
Weird.
So I don't like that. But yeah, and then... Yeah, because you were saying that, like, on the BuzzFeed Unsolved episode, and I do need to watch that, that they saw something in the basement, and they actually, like, caught footage of it.
They got footage of something. It is something blocking the light in the window, and it is human-shaped. And they
it does look like someone walking past.
It looks like someone walking past the window, and they weren't able to, rule out anybody working there, because like earlier in the episode they heard footsteps upstairs, and they say in the episode like we're not allowed to go upstairs, and they kind of make it seem like it's like unsafe, but then they do those like post-mortem things where they do those like bonus episodes where they like talk about the episode, and they said it's actually the caretaker lived upstairs with his dog, and
he does live on the premises.
And so they were like it could have been him, and they either intentionally lied about him not being there, or there's just a miscommunication and he thought he was allowed to be there for the evening. But they weren't able
he is on the premises with his dog, but because like even with our tours we were only allowed in like certain rooms, certain areas, and they like say it's an overnight thing, but it ends at like 1:00 or something in the morning, so
yeah,
it's not fully overnight.
Yeah, and so, like, with the footsteps, they were like, you know, that very easily could have been the caretaker. And, you know, there maybe was a miscommunication, or maybe they're trying to, like, up the spookiness or something. Like, you never know.
Right, well, that's kind of like the thumping noises we might have heard when we were in the dining room. We were like, no, that's not anything.
Yeah, but then with the figure going in front of the window and, like, blocking the light, like, they couldn't...
Because when you do the ghost tour, what they tell you is in the basement is, it's like there's this one corner of the basement, and there's, it's like almost blocked off into being like a little like room closet size type thing. And basically it's this like shadow man. I can't remember what they called him. I think they just called him like the shadow man. But he like walks back and forth in that little area.
That's what it was.
And it's right in front of a window.
Yep, that's what it was. They were in the basement and they were in front of that little room.
Yeah.
And there was somebody like walking in it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like they have reports of like there's like another little room off to one side of like, I don't know, things moving and like flashlights turning on and off and like batteries draining and all that kind of stuff. But that's like the sighting that people see is this like man who like walks back and forth in front of this window.
Yeah, that's what they
and it's definitely like this black shadow figure, and it's definitely like human shaped.
Yeah, that's what this was.
And me and McCall did see something.
Didn't you send us a video?
Did you? I can't remember.
I really swear you sent us a video.
I might have.
Hang on.
I don't remember for sure.
That
was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So.
For the BuzzFeed Unsolved one, somebody on Reddit like stabilized it and like upped the contrast so it's easier to see.
Yeah.
So I'll send it. You don't have to watch it right now, but I mean, they went and checked that out like immediately because of course Ryan saw it, not Shane. But
yeah, of course.
Ryan saw it. They went in there pretty much immediately and like no one was there. And there wasn't really any way that they could have gotten out from what I remember. So
no, there's only one way in and out of the basement, and it's a staircase literally like in the middle of the room.
Yeah, and they were right next to the staircase, so they would have seen. Yeah, like they were looking like over the stairs.
Yeah, because like the stairs are like right in the middle, and then like it's in like a back corner.
Yeah,
is the area where like this man is always seen, or this figure.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, McCall and I, because I went with my friend McCall, and then a couple, like her husband and our other friend Kyle, and she and I saw something. Neither of us can like for sure say that it was like a human figure, a shadow figure, anything like that. We just know we saw something move.
Mm-hmm.
So, that again, to us as, you know, the weirdos who go out and go ghost hunting and all of that, like pretty regularly, that wasn't definitive enough evidence of anything.
Yeah.
But just the fact that we saw something move in a place where other people see things, we were like, I'll keep note of it in my own brain sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and that didn't come up literally anywhere in any of my research. And I went through like every Savannah,
so weird.
Like ghost tour hauntings website I could find. Not everyone, obviously, but like I couldn't find anything on that figure. So
that's so weird.
However, I will tell you what they told us they think it is, which is in the research, if you want to go to slide 5.
Okay.
But basically what they told us is, and I'll get into it a little bit, is, like I said, Savannah and a lot of those, like, eastern coastal towns are very haunted.
What's up?
Yes. Mostly because there were a lot of battles fought there. And so they think it's a soldier, like, going back and forth, like he's on, like, guard duty or something.
I think that was what they said in BuzzFeed Unsolved, was what they were told was that it was a Confederate soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well...
Oh, that's not cool.
Yeah. So... Like I said, the house sits on Madison Square, which... Have either of you been to Savannah?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, basically, at least within the historic part of the city, everything is built around these little squares. So, like, Forrest Gump, the bench is on Chippewa Square. This house is on Madison Square. There's a whole bunch of these little squares. It's kind of like the Square Park in Freeburg.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a square.
Yes.
In a town. That's what they are.
Yes.
But theirs is like every block there's one. And so it was kind of like these little neighborhoods around each little square. And it was built that way because like in the middle of the square, they would put like like a fountain or a well, for like fire hazards, because the South is fucking hot and it's a swamp and everything catches on fire all the time. So it was easier.
Swamp gas.
Yeah, so it was like easier for them to just have like each little neighborhood had its own little fire station, essentially, with this square. That's more information than you needed on that. But yeah, basically, the house is on Madison Square. This particular part of the city was part of a significant battle during the Revolutionary War. And that was the Siege of Savannah. So basically, in 1778, the British forces had taken over the city of Savannah. And then in 1779, the American and French forces that were working together, they attempted to push the British back out of Savannah. And that was where this battle took place. Madison Square was like within this area of where this battle took place. Which, I mean, during the battle, the Revolutionary Army was heavily outmanned and outgunned, and so they ended up losing. But regardless, it like lasted basically a week, this whole battle, and so there were many deaths during this battle. And so Madison Square is where they dug a trench to hold all of the dead bodies.
What?
Yeah. So they just...
No thanks.
Yeah, they basically just built this huge, or dug this huge trench, and they would just throw all the bodies in there, of who they presumed was dead. A lot of times it was injured soldiers who were not quite dead yet.
Oh dear.
Because it's a battle, and so they just got thrown into this trench with them, couldn't get out, and then after the battle, they just filled the trench in. And those bodies have never been exhumed.
Don't touch that. Why would... Yeah, leave it. We don't need to exhume that.
Yeah.
You know?
But also, with it never being exhumed and the trench just being filled in, the city was built on top of it.
Yeah.
And then this house is on top of it.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that's worse than just digging them up and putting them in, like, unknown soldier from blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But now, because they built all these, like, residential buildings and houses and everything on top of it, all of those houses on these squares are protected by the Historic Preservation Society. So you can't just go digging underneath them.
Yeah.
So at this point, it kind of is what it is. But yeah, so there is potentially hundreds of thousands of dead bodies just under the city. Well, there are under the city of Savannah, which is probably more likely why the house is hella haunted.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, and then again, during the Civil War, I mean, Savannah pretty much surrendered to the Union Army before there were any battles fought in Savannah. However, there were multiple soldiers from Savannah, and it was used as a hospital. So, people did die there.
I mean, even if it being a hospital, like, I think it was like... It's either 1/3 or 2/3 of all of the, like, casualties or the fatalities in the Civil War was because of illness.
Yeah, exactly. And then, like,
now.
I know this particular house, like, Robert E. Lee used to stay there. So, like, it had ties to the Civil War for sure. So it's not like it just didn't have, like, a big thing like it did with this, like, trench that was dug.
Yeah. It was, about 2/3 on both sides.
Yeah.
Was illness.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
but like
trying to do anything, like, if you're from New York and you're trying to go through the swamps of Georgia, I'm sorry, but you're dead.
Yeah, it was pneumonia, typhoid, dysentery, and malaria were the predominant illnesses.
Yeah, because if you have any sort of cut, which you do if you're in a war and you go trudging through a swamp, like...
Yeah, and then most of the fighting was in the south. Infections. Yeah, most of the fighting was in the south, so...
Yep.
He's got gator fever.
Basically.
Yeah, well, and they decided to just amputate everybody, and that didn't help either.
That doesn't...
Did you say they amputated every body?
I mean, yeah. That wasn't what I meant, but...
Everybody. Body.
Yeah.
Oh my god, sorry.
But yeah, so the house is... I mean, obviously, because it was before they, like, really built up the city, so... Because it was the Revolutionary Wars when this trench was built, so we don't know exactly where it was. We'd have, like, areas and stuff like that, but this house is at least within the area that this trench was dug, and potentially like right on top of it. And so a lot of visitors to the house claim to feel a dark psychic energy when they enter the home, and that feeling also lingers throughout all of Madison Square. Or at least, like, that particular, like, dark feeling, people say that they feel it within the house, but they also feel it, like, within the entire, like, square area. And then that dark energy is also often accompanied by the sounds of gunfire and shouting, heard especially clearly on quiet nights.
Of course.
So, but yeah, and then, like, the thing with the basement, yeah, when I did, like, my tour there, they said that they don't know for sure what it is, but they suspect that it is a soldier who is, like, on duty. And then many people, when they're in the basement, feel a sensation of nausea and choking. But, again, not, like, being, like, strangled. They say that it's, like, choking... Of course, on the tour, they dramatize everything, but they said it is always described as choking as if you're choking on blood. So, yeah. And then those who consider themselves sensitive to psychic energy have described feeling panicked for no reason. And then people's cameras and cell phone batteries will be fully charged when they go into the building, and then by the time they leave, or even within a couple minutes of entering the building, their batteries are completely drained, which is a pretty common occurrence in any sort of, like, haunting situation.
Yeah, which, like, I have to say, I've never had a device of any kind just randomly lose all of its battery on me. Yeah. Like, that's really weird. Like, I feel like a lot of people discount that as just being like, oh, it's just
but
like
in
can you imagine how scary that would be?
Doesn't happen.
Yeah, like, I've never heard of that happening. I mean, this is just my own experience, obviously, but, like, I've never heard of that happening outside of I was at a haunted house and my phone died. You know what I mean?
And, like, I've had it happen, not at this particular one, but, like, McCall and I go, like, urban exploring sometimes, and we were, like, in a, it's, like, a now abandoned, it used to be, like, an old, like, tuberculosis hospital, and then, like, a mental hospital, and she and I were in exploring that, and we had a bunch of weird things happen while we were in there, but one of them was that, like, my cell phone battery, like, it was at, like, 95, and it, like, dropped to 0, and, like, I couldn't get it to turn on until we, like, were back in my car.
And your phone's never charged, so for it to have been charged in the first place, it's pretty great.
That is true. My phone is always dying, but never that quickly.
Oh, yeah. Shelby.
Look, I just don't care if my phone dies on me, okay? It doesn't have to be charged. You don't need constant connection with me. I don't like it.
That's not the point of having a phone. The point of having a phone is if you're in an emergency situation, you can't call for help.
Okay, but if there's an emergency, you can reach me other ways. Most of the time.
No, if you are in an emergency, you personally, and you need help.
And your phone dies. You're fucked.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well, then I'm fucked. It's fine.
Okay. Never mind.
Anyway. That's the point! Okay, people got by without cell phones for, like, millennia.
They died!
Yeah, people also died of, like, fucking stubbing their toe, Shelby, so...
Which I did do this morning.
Oh my god!
They got by. Yeah, they died because they got stranded somewhere and couldn't find any water.
Let's talk about the Donner Party.
Yeah, but I don't put myself in those situations except when I explore abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And when I do that, my phone is at 95%. Okay?
And then it dies!
Well, I didn't do that time, okay? It was the spooky ghost. Anyway, that's all I've got for you today.
Handle this right now.
But yeah, so, like, there's not actually that many, like, hauntings, I guess, within this house. I guess you could really only say it's, like, 3 or 4 things. But...
There's only 3 or 4, like, ghosts. But there's a whole bunch of people's, like, experiences with those ghosts. But because they're very active.
I was gonna say, like, they're pretty active. And I think it was, like, every group on the tour I went to had an experience of some sort. Mm-hmm. Not all of us had one within the same room. And of course, like, we're on a ghost tour, so people are looking for things. But there's a lot of stories around this place.
Yeah. And
a lot of people see things, a lot of people hear things or feel things. But actually, I guess that's not all I've got for you, because it is entirely, and by entirely, I mean like 100% possible that what happened with Matilda and Molly didn't actually happen at this house.
Of course.
Great.
Yeah. So, it actually happened after they sold this house, and they moved into a house, like, down the street. And it happened at that one. So...
Wait, is that the fact, or is that a speculation?
That's fact.
Okay.
As far as I can tell. Based off of, like, when the letter was sent of, like, when Matilda died, and, like, when they moved into the new house.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, of course, we're talking about a haunted house, so finding any sort of, like, really reputable website is very difficult. But from what I can tell, her death, she was still alive when they moved out of the Sorrel-Weed House, and she died at their new house.
Okay.
Matilda did. Again, there's nothing clear on who Molly was, whether she lived at this house, whether she died at this house, any of that. So I can't say for sure about her, but as far as Matilda, she did not die at the Sorrel-Weed House. So there is that. That being said, the house is built on top of haunted land, so regardless.
Yeah.
I'm not going to discount, and I mean, there's nothing to say that, like, Henry Weed, when he owned the house, he didn't, like, throw parties in the, like, dining room, drawing room, and that's just, like, residual energy of, like, what people hear there and stuff like that. Seeing, like, a female figure in the mirror, like, none of the hauntings are, like, malicious in any way, and so a lot of it is just kind of like the residual energy kind of hauntings, and so there's nothing to say that it's not just other stuff going on. It doesn't have to be Matilda. That's just everyone likes a good story to go along with a ghost sort of thing. So, but yeah. And also, you know, men had long hair back then. So nothing to say what you're seeing in that mirror that doesn't have a body or, like, clear features is a woman. So
it could be a Sasquatch.
Exactly. But yeah, so now that's all I've got for you today.
What, when did she die? Do you know?
Matilda?
Yeah.
Let me see if I still have it pulled up. 1859.
I was just trying to find her death certificate on Ancestry.com. I can't find it.
Well, in the meantime, if you want to listen to a really sad song, there's this song that has been stuck in my head since we started talking about this called The Band Played Waltzing Matilda. It's tragic. Anyway, look it up, everyone. It's so sad.
Waltzing Matilda is like my favorite song. It's the first song.
It's not Waltzing Matilda. It's called The Band Played Waltzing Matilda.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it's the first song I learned to play on the piano, so.
No, Waltzing Matilda is a fun one.
Yes. Okay, well, here. Okay, so maybe there is some discrepancy, because according to this, Henry Weed bought the house in 1859, but he didn't take possession of it until 1862. And then on this website, it says that Matilda committed suicide in 1859, which is the year that they sold the house.
Okay.
So...
Well, Ancestry's making me pay to pull stuff up anyway, so never mind.
Yeah. So, I guess there could have been some discrepancy, but according to this one letter that gives us our only timeline of events,
yeah,
it was after they had moved into their new house.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was just trying to find an answer, but Ancestry's making me pay for shit, so never mind.
Yeah. So it would depend on, like, the timing within 1859, but it appears, to the best of what I can find without paying, that they sold the home and then moved, and then Matilda died.
Yeah.
That's that on that. That's the Sorrel-Weed House. It is fun to go see. It's a very cool, like, estate. It's not like a plantation home because it's, like, within the middle of the city, but it is, like, gigantic. So...
Yeah. Okay.
That's all I got.
Cool.
And then our ending is that we have no ending. So, bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, thanks, bye. Thanks for listening to The Triad. Our music is by Scott Buckley. Our audio is recorded by our sound engineers, Craig Bott and Audrey Credo.
If you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and Tumblr as The Triad Podcast.
We're also on Patreon as The Triad. Currently, all Patreon funds will go towards the cost of hosting the show. Each tier has its own rewards, but every patron receives our undying gratitude. Do you have comments, questions, or stories? Email us at thetriadpod@gmail.com. And thank you again for listening to The Triad, where we're spooky but sensitive.